We're just gonna go around the circle.
Is that easier?
Yeah.
I mean, I like to shake hands.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, Katarina. I'm Steven.
Yeah, we can just, I guess, go around the circle.
My name's Sohel. I'm College of Liberal Arts Student Senator. Again, sorry.
Good.
My name is Chase Giles. I'm an off-campus senator.
I'm Adam Lambert. I'm College of Engineering Senator.
I'm Trey Miller. I'm the Vice President of Finance on the executive side. I'm actually not a senator.
That's that Steven's already introduced himself, I guess. My name is Joseph Hood. I'm the finance chair on the Senate side.
And I'm Taylor Day, and I'm with the Caucus of Science and Senate.
Sweet. Well, nice to meet you. I'm Katarina. I'm the finance/associate director for Aggie Replant. I'm the director for Aggie Replant. She's just here for moral support. So I can get started.
Oh, yeah. We didn't do the, sorry.
Olivia, do you want to be my clicker? Yeah.
There's a clicker.
There's a clicker up there once you get started, and the mouse is up here. Yeah, let me see.
Oh, wait. Like,
Yeah, you gotta click on
Slideshow.
Oh, this is actually.
Bottom right.
yeah, all right. I'm going to let you.
Let's see what you got, Trey. On the leg.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, really excited.
Is it like F5 or
Yeah.
something? Maybe personal like
Yeah.
Yeah, just over. Well, like I said, I'm Katarina. So this is our mission statement, and I'm just going to read it off really quick, only because we changed it this year. So I can tell you guys kind of what we changed about it. But Aggie Replant is an environmental service organization which strives to improve its greater community and bring students together through tradition, unity, and selfless service by providing an avenue for environmental service through annual tree planting events such as Replant Day. The part that we changed was the greater community part. In the past, it just said the Bryan College Station area. And the reason we changed that is because in the spring we go out to Bastrop State Park, and we're actively involved there, so we had to kind of change that part. So cool tidbit. Okay. So just a little bit about our history. We became a tradition in '91, so we technically started in '90, but an event has to take place twice to become a tradition. And then we officially became an SGA committee in 1994. And then some of the things we've done in the past, we partnered with Keep Brazos Beautiful, and they're just like a local green kind of organization, Tree Campus USA. And then 3 years ago, we started doing the Lost Pines Recovery Campaign, which is our event in Bastrop State Park. So what we do is we bring Aggies together through volunteer work, and then by doing so, we strengthen the Bryan College Station area. Thank you. So some of our challenges include we do have a small committee. We kind of like having a small committee because it kind of helps us get more things done, but it also makes it difficult getting our name out and having people know who we are, which goes into the next one, limited recognition, and then one of our other challenges is the historic neglect of our tree farm. We were awarded a tree farm in '95.
No, we got it in 2000.
Oh, I
Yeah.
just totally went back.
Well,
2005.
until last week.
Okay, so we were awarded a tree farm in 2005, and the basic purpose of that is for us to be able to grow our own trees and not have to ask for trees. But just historically, it's been neglected and hasn't been up to our standards, or up to, I guess, the standards we would need to plant trees. And then just the fact that trees are very expensive.
Yeah, and a little bit more about the tree farm is it's out on Riverside campus, and we have like a plot out there, and so it used to be up and running where we could grow trees and have like a lot of trees out there that we could maintain throughout the year that we could plant in the fall for Replant Day. But we don't have a working water system because the people who mow the lawns out there ran over our water system, so that kind of started the whole neglect process, and then it's kind of all been like overgrown because like the care out there has just kind of degraded over the years.
So if I could, is that a private, or is it like a partnership that y'all have, or is that solely ran through Replant?
It's like a partnership, I guess. Like we, like
Yeah, I mean,
like the
Riverside campus
university.
belongs to A&M, so
Okay.
it's just kind of, they have land, and that's where Big Event has their sheds too. We're right
Yeah.
across from them, so
Okay.
just kind of an area for us to keep our stuff and our trees.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna go into our goals real quick before we start talking money. So one of our short-term goals is to provide meaningful experiences for student volunteers and community. And I think that's always a goal for us in general. Increase committee membership, increase fundraising efforts, so we can be more self-sustaining. Renovate the tree farm that we were just talking about, and then educate about the importance of environmental responsibility. And then our long-term goals include increasing organization name recognition. I talked about that earlier. Since we are a small committee, getting our name out there is something we sometimes struggle with. Then to grow our own trees, like I've said a few times, to be financially self-sufficient, and then to just improve the environment on the local and abroad scale. Okay, so some of our solutions to these problems are, we did create a fundraising chair 2 or 3 years ago. So that's a position solely based to raise money for us. We didn't have that in the past. We kind of had that under a bunch of different positions. So that's really helped us out a lot. And then one of our other solutions obviously is to renovate the tree farm, target advertising to the groups we want to reach out to, and increase our community investment.
And the fundraising position that was created, I was actually the first fundraising exec that iGroup has ever had. And so it's been like a little bit of a building challenge for us, because we haven't really had like a strong like history with like any of our like grants and sponsors and stuff that's been built up over the years. So I was kind of like ground zero for us. So over the past 2 years, we've been working on like getting our name out to sponsors, and like getting a list of grants out for us so that we can get that money and like support ourselves and stuff.
Okay, so this is basically where pretty much all of our money is coming from, is our operations budget. We're requesting $5,700 for trees, and the cost per tree, it's $40 per tree, and that would give us around 130 trees, which is less than last year, but unfortunately we are forced to switch tree vendors, just based off relationships with student activities. So we're planting less trees, and they're a little bit more expensive, and then there's also a $200 delivery charge within that tree budget. And then for the insurance premiums, that's just to make sure everyone's insured on the day of replant day. And that's based off of numbers in the past to calculate that value.
Yeah, and the reason why we were forced to change tree vendors is we used to have like a little bit cheaper tree vendor out in Navasota, but last year he caused a bunch of havoc in student activities and is not a very good partner to have. And so this year we were forced to go out and like search for a couple different vendors for us, and so we've been building new relationships with them. So this year our prices for trees have been a little bit higher because we don't have that like long-term contract or like relationship with this new tree vendor.
And how much did you say each tree costs?
They're about $40 a tree. That's the average. We have different tree species, but that's kind of what it worked out to.
Yeah, they're about $39 to $45, but most of the ones that we're getting are about $40.
And it's a $500 delivery charge.
Yes.
Regardless of how many you get.
Yeah, regardless. So I mean, yeah, that doesn't matter. Okay. Now on to the programming budget. So again, like I mentioned earlier, we do need to get our name out there a little bit more. Some of our committee members this year even said, oh, I know you do Bastrop and Replant, but like I didn't know there's a committee behind it. So we're just trying to get our name out there for that. And then we also need banners and flyers for both of our events. So that's where that $300 comes from. And then the second line is the equipment rental line, and we're requesting $250 for that. That's simply, we do have a delivery charge, like I mentioned earlier, but that's only for them to deliver it to one location. And if y'all are familiar with Replant Day, we plant at multiple locations. So we basically get them delivered to our tree farm, and then we have to kind of divide them up and bring them to our locations. So that's just for trailers and trucks and things like that. And then the last column is for fuel costs. Since a lot of our members do have trucks, we'll have them help us deliver, and we just need to reimburse them for fuel. And these numbers are kind of averages for the past few years. So. Okay, and then this is the last thing, is just the MSC open house. $90 would cover the fee for both spring and in the fall. And again, to get our name out there, we really need to be present at both of those events. So. Okay, and then this, I don't know if you want me to leave this up, but that was just kind of a synopsis of everything.
Yeah, that's actually perfect. That'd be probably, if y'all can do that.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. So at this point is kind of a Q&A, and we'll ask y'all some questions. If y'all have any questions for us as well. I know that you had some questions specifically about the form that we submitted.
Yeah.
And didn't have time. I apologize for that. I didn't
Oh, no
realize that y'all
worries. I don't know why I
weren't
was not on the listserv and then I was. And
Yeah.
But
getting emails. No, so we're definitely, we're not gonna like penalize you for that just
Mhm.
because it was something that was out of your control. You can't control whether or not you're on the list. So don't worry about that. And if you have any questions about that form specifically, I would still like to see it filled out just
yeah, I
because.
was gonna work on it today.
And the purpose behind that, I don't know if you quite understand, is not, we're actually not using this primarily to examine like your this part of it. It's to create a better financial picture of SGA as a whole. And so we're trying to, what's most important is this, which y'all do. So,
The theory behind that is more, because we only have $50,000 allocation at the moment for all the committees. I'm sure y'all know that's not enough, and obviously they're growing. It's kind of to get a picture of the bill of health of all of SGA in general. That way you can turn around and say, this is where we need more money, it's where we're down. And hopefully get a bump allocation somewhere down the road, maybe not this year,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
yeah, that's the goal. So just to clear that up.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Fantastic. So if anyone has any questions, that's when we can open it up right now.
Yeah, I had a few questions. Thank you for coming out, by the way. But I'm a little ignorant to replant. So it goes, the trees go all over the community, not just on Texas A&M campus. Is that correct?
Yeah, they actually in the past, like, as long as I can remember, they haven't been planted on campus just because we have to go through so many different people. They want specific trees planted and they have, you know, kind of exactly what they want to do and where. So it's just been easier to plant at public parks. We've gone to like Bryan Public Park System, College Station Parks, and just areas like that.
So it's mostly public areas, not like
Yeah,
someone's front yard.
Well, we do plant in a few private areas, and that's just to make sure, because we want people to take care of the trees.
Right.
We obviously don't want to plant them somewhere where they're gonna die. So we're mainly concentrated at public sites just because I guess more people kind of see the effort and get to experience that. But we do have some private sites for leftover trees and things like that when we know that they'll take really great care of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, we hadn't planted in private sites until 2011, I want to say. But it was just getting harder to partner with like public sites for that reason. And then it was like, we needed a few more smaller sites so that we had more options for our volunteers. But I believe this year we're only have public sites unless one of our public sites falls through, and then we have that, like private sites on the server.
Okay.
So,
I have a lot of questions.
You're fine. Keep them rolling.
Do y'all do any sort of private fundraising yourselves throughout the year, or y'all like to put it on?
yes, so like I said earlier, I was the first fundraising exec 2 years ago. Before that, we still applied for some grants. We've received the International Paper Grant a couple times. We had sent in an application back in April for that, but this year I don't know, I guess we had gotten it 2 years in a row, so this year they didn't give it to us, I guess. We sent out like a search for sponsors. We've had a few sponsors in the past. We've gotten a few other grants. And then we've been trying to work with some apartment complexes and sent out like a REPLANT newsletter to all of our past members and have gotten a few donations from that in the past. And then we do have an endowment, so we get a little bit.
Yeah, just to clarify too, you notice that I didn't ask for any money for Bastrop. That's because there is a disclaimer on our mission statement that we're not allowed to ask for any money for Bastrop. So most of our money that we do fundraise goes towards that cause as well. So that's why some of these numbers might be a little bit bigger. So we do have a lot of fundraising money. It's just we have 2 events and one of them we're not allowed to use SGA funding for. So
Yeah, and we were a little bit wiped out of our funds a couple years ago because the first year that we were that we did Bastrop, the president and the dean pretty much came to us and they were like, hey, this is what you're gonna do. You're being partnered this year. We're gonna pay for a lot of it, and we still had to pay for some of it. And then like the next year, we didn't get any help from them at all, but we still had to put it all on, including paying for like pre-plant day and buying the trees and renovating our tree farm and that kind of thing. So it's been kind of hard. Sorry, I'm like really like I have a little bit of allergies going on, but and so it's been a little bit of a challenge to build up that like wealth in our system to be able to carry over for both events each semester. So.
Absolutely. So basically, if Bastrop was something that was kind of almost forced upon y'all the first time, like not necessarily forced upon you, but given y'all and requested very strongly for you to do, is the purpose behind continuing Bastrop? Is that because just the need is still there? Like I've driven through Bastrop and I've seen there's still a lot of trees that are decimated there. Is that kind of the purpose, or? Okay.
Yeah, we did kind of like a mutual, it wasn't like a binding agreement, but a 5-year kind of like a agreement to do this project with them. And that's kind of what the dean of, I don't know what his name is, who's John Sharp? Whoever that
Chancellor.
is. Chancellor, okay, that's kind of what he like kind of put us into, so we can't really withdraw from that since it would look bad on A&M's part as well. But like she was saying earlier, we kind of got dropped.
That was 2013.
So you've got another 3 years of that?
Well, it all kind of depends on the Texas Forestry Service. I mean, I guess we told them that we would do it for 5 years, but they're doing like a 1 million tree seedlings in 5 years program. But that's like their goal. And so it really depends on how much they're able to plant realistically throughout the years. So.
When was the last year for that then?
So we do it this year and then
2017?
Yeah, 2017.
I have a real quick question, just more on fundraising. So y'all have a whole event, basically dedicated, a whole fundraising event dedicated to the Bastrop trees. Is that correct?
I mean, we fundraise for both events. It's just most of our money does end up going to Bastrop.
And so that means that most of the money you're requesting here is going strictly towards non-Bastrop trees.
Yes.
All of it.
Yeah,
All of it.
none of our money goes. None of our SGA money goes to Bastrop. So it all pretty much gets.
How much does Bastrop trees usually cost you?
They're not trees that we pay for. The Texas Forestry Service pays for that. We have to pay for the transportation, and that's around like $6,000.
So how much do you usually raise in your fundraising efforts?
Enough to cover the buses, so that's $6,000 for Bastrop, and then I'd probably say $10,000 a year. So that covers about $4,000 of the replant budget.
Yeah, our only issue is that, replant's been like continuously getting smaller over the past years, especially these past 3 years because of the Bastrop project. And so we really want to like make an effort to be able to have like a cushion so that we can start growing it again. So we don't have to keep going less trees, less volunteers. Because last year, we actually got like a lot of complaints from like students and like faculty members because our registration filled up so fast because we were only able to take 200 less students than we were the year before and like 400 less students than we were 2 years before that because like trees have gotten so much of a cost and we've had to pay for both of these events that not as many students are being able to participate in our event and therefore like they're getting a little upset that they can't participate in one of those
It's kind of a
conditions.
sticky situation, basically.
So on top of this money, how much more beyond this money is the money that you get from SGA allocation the only money that you spend on the non-Bastrop look, or do you take some of that money from fundraising and put it towards non-Bastrop things and events, like paying for trees, for example? Or is this SGA money the only thing that you use for that?
Like SGA money is the only thing we use for replant day, or is
Yes.
that what you're
Is
asking?
it-
Like if we
yeah,
do extra funding, if we weren't to get?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, that would just come out of our Bastrop Day bus budget. So that would mean we could go to Bastrop less days, have less buses and things like that. Because we are replant, this is our #1 priority and this is what we should be doing. But Bastrop is also very, very important to us and we've gotten a lot of good feedback on it. So basically if we don't get this money, it would just be coming out of our bus budget for Bastrop, so.
Right, so the programs are kind of intertwined, where even though the money that we're putting towards this is going specifically towards this, it could hurt other things that y'all are doing, which are very important.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, we're continuously trying to fundraise and like get more money so that we can pay for more, trees or like sustain ourselves a little bit more, but it's still just a little bit of a work in progress since we don't have a lot of like history backing us yet.
Okay, absolutely.
I had a few questions about the tree farm.
Yes.
So how many trees are there on the farm now?
We had 100 trees donated to us last November. They were 3 to 5 gallon trees, so they had to make it through a winter in like a little bitty pot and they're little baby trees still. So we still have about 75 out there.
Okay. And is there someone that like takes care of it around
Yes.
the year?
So we have tree team exec members and their responsibilities are to maintain like the trees out of the tree farm and they're supposed to be coming up with like ways to make it more sustainable and like basically renovate the tree.
Yeah,
farm
so
that
it's
we
just
can-
difficult over the summer and then like the winter breaks, like we kind of had to ask other people to help us out and things like that, and that's where it gets difficult, but during the school year, they go out there like once a week.
How much would it cost to get a working water system?
Oh gosh, we did the cost for this a few years ago, and to fully renovate the entire tree farm was about $2,000 with everything. And that was kind of to get the basic necessities because.
Yeah, and we just got another committee member who apparently used to work with like large garden watering systems, and so that he knows like a lot of things and like places to get watering systems, so.
He knows that.
Yeah, he knows a guy, I guess.
guess.
So I'm not exactly sure on all the costs for renovations, like specific costs for like watering systems, but that's what we're gonna be trying to work on after replant day, so that in the spring we can start like renovating this all, and towards the end of winter, or like right after replant day, start the whole renovation process in like the plans.
And how much would if you grew your own tree, what's the cost of growing your own tree on your own farm versus the $40 of buying one?
Substantially less.
Yeah, that's all the insight I can give you. We haven't really looked into how much that would actually cost, but I know it'd be a fraction.
I have two more questions about just little line items on your budget. So one of the things y'all requested last year was facility rental, and I think $180. I didn't notice that on this year's.
Yeah, we found a new place to have our kickoff event at, and it's actually at the ETB building. It's one of the engineering buildings, and they're free, so we
Awesome.
don't need that.
And then also I noticed the insurance premiums went down. Is there?
That's also because replant day is getting smaller each year, so we're just gonna take that into account.
Those are the only two questions I have.
Can you go into, I know you touched on y'all are looking to expand again and replant, which I think is great. Could you touch more into kind of, do y'all have a vision for how you'd like to try and reach more students and get them more involved? Because the student bodies grow.
Yeah, I honestly think it depends on the trees, because we can't have, 200 volunteers plant 20 trees, that would just, they wouldn't get anything out of the day. So it has to deal with how many trees we have is how many volunteers we can have. So the more trees, the more people we can reach out. Of course, we can get our name out there to more students, and that's why we have like a marketing exec, but to actually get them involved in replant day, that all has to do with the trees, because there's no point in having 10 people plant one tree.
It sounds to me like your issue is not that there's not interest in it. It's
There's
that you can't
definitely
provide.
interest, yeah.
There's definitely a lot of interest. We've never had a problem getting people to sign up for replant day. We've never not reached our like max
Capacity.
volunteers. Yeah. The thing is, like, I guess a while back, we kind of did some research into to see how many people per tree we should have during replant day, and like the ideal amount that we've come up with is to have about 2 to 2.5 people per tree. So, if we only have 130 trees, at most we're gonna be taking, like not even 400 students really. So that's really the issue, is because you don't want them to have not enough work and just go there kind of like half dig a hole and then go home.
So what's like a turnover on a tree, like when you first like plant it and then it's
Like how long
ready
it
to be?
takes.
Yeah, to grow your own. I'm
From
super ignorant about trees, obviously.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys know.
Okay, so from seedling to like a 5-gallon tree, it would
To
take,
where you can plant it. That's
Yeah,
what I mean.
That's a 5.
okay, so we plant the lowest gallon size tree that we plant is 5 gallon, and it would take about 2 years probably on our tree farm for it to be able to grow to a 5-gallon tree. That's about a bucket like this big, probably about this tall.
Off the ground?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's on the trees or how?
Well,
That's all
actually,
the
it's
tree
probably
would
not. It's probably going to take a little bit more than 2 years, maybe from planting from this. Like, if that would be like if we got a sapling instead of planting it from like a seedling. And it really depends on the type of tree that we have, because some trees grow faster. Some trees, like the loblolly pines that we grow out at Bastrop, if you plant them in like a potted plant or like a pot and like grow them in like technically ideal conditions, I guess they'll grow, like this big in 2 years. But some other types of trees will take 2 years and they'll only be this big.
So theoretically speaking, and I know you don't know the exact cost, but if, for example, the first year, like this year, you didn't plant like 100 trees, theoretically at $40 a tree, you planted half of that and you saved $2,000 and renovated, in 2 years you could ideally have your own trees and then add to maybe down the line having more trees and then keep
Yeah.
going with that momentum.
Theoretically, yes.
Theoretically, okay.
Yeah, it all kind of just depends, like, A lot of the times, the only issue on the tree farm is that it floods really bad. So like, and with all the rain that we've gotten, it like baby trees basically need like ideal conditions. So, you know, if it starts to rain a lot, then the whole root ball just like fall apart where like the sapling is. And so once that happens, then it basically dies like within a few days.
So it wouldn't be feasible to like get to a point where you have your own tree farm that you're pulling trees from?
It would
could
if
be.
we had the ideal conditions for it. So I guess we would, after we invest that $2,000, we would be fine planting trees.
Okay.
Have y'all had conversations? I know you talk about maintenance of the tree farm, especially in times when y'all aren't here. Have y'all had conversations about partnering with the university since that is university land, or the university say, here, take good care of this land and just
Yeah,
kind of-
that's the response we've gotten. Is
Yeah.
here's your land. And we've talked to the guy who runs the land and he's very unhelpful.
Mhm.
So it's basically like, here's your land, give us, you know, notice of what you're gonna do so we can approve it, but we're not gonna exactly do anything for it.
Okay. Do you know what?
Might be partnerships with like agricultural.
We're thinking about reaching out to like the horticulture societies and things like that.
So I said, they might be able to.
Yeah, and landscape architecture.
Yeah,
I didn't know
but
if
again,
you
we
could get
haven't.
something like the greenhouse for the saplings or whatever. it
Yeah.
is.
We've tried, 2 years ago, we tried to like completely renovate the tree farm and we were trying to like, partner with a bunch of different majors to try to help us with that. And then, we got through a lot of it and a huge storm went through for like 4 days and pretty much like uprooted all the progress that we had. And so like all the holes that we had, because we were like digging a new irrigation system so that instead of having to buy like a bunch of stuff, we were kind of making it our own. And we were probably 3 weeks away from finishing and the storm filled in all the holes, ruined all the progress that we had made. So then we kind of.
So we like have a master plan, like we know what we need to do.
Can I make just a general suggestion that might help? Come out after allocations are kind of done with, just so this doesn't interfere with that. Come out to one of our Senate meetings, see if there's a senator who'd be willing to work with you on talking with administration, talking with things. Come out to one of our open forums and actually come and talk to us.
Okay.
We have 80 senators, someone would probably be interested in helping.
There's even, like I said, there's even senators for the College of Agriculture and stuff like that, that probably would have, you know, really good suggestions as well. You run over me one, sorry, we're getting close to the end of the but can you say again the fundraising stuff y'all do?
Okay,
Sorry.
So,
I know
okay.
you said it already, I just
No,
kind of
you're
tried to rethink it.
So we do have like a fundraising exec. We apply for a lot of grants. We're in the process of applying for 3 right now. We're in the process of like going out to a bunch of different apartment complexes trying to get their sponsorships. We do have a few sponsors that we've gained over the past couple years. And it's been about a year since they've donated, so we're reaching back out to them to see if they can get in contact. They would want to, you know, sponsor us again. And then we do profit shares, little like fundraising events. We did a taco sale this past year to try to get just a little bit of extra money. And
Yeah, I think grants and sponsorships is where the bulk of it
yeah,
is.
so we're doing Kyle Field cleanup.
Okay, yeah. That's one thing I was gonna say, it seems like y'all's challenges are fundraising and, just outreach.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, this whole, like, my director mission, I guess, of my term has been, to do more to get, more funding and, bigger, outreach into the student body where everyone.
I think the outside funding is probably, and I think those two kind of go together, and, I mean, this is all just advisory, so take it as you will. But, I would say, I mean, because, like I said, our allocation is kind of stuck, so the amount that we can always, you know, give you more trees to grow isn't really gonna be able to grow until we get the chance to grow. So that's what I would say, like, I'd like to focus on trying to get as much outside funding as you can, then that really will help you out. That's, you know, the big event in Carpal, they just have money flowing in out the wazoo other than its allocation.
Yeah, I've met with the big event fundraiser. I met with him last summer whenever I was fundraising chair, and so I met with him to try to get like a bunch of their advice on how to like fundraise better for REPLANT. So that's where I started to build some like.
That's
straight
good,
Yeah,
I
our
definitely,
community relationships. Like,
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I would definitely do like Chris said, and go out there with some of the Senate meetings, so they'll definitely go like that.
I think it's 8:00.
Yeah, sorry.
We're wrapping up right now.
I'm taking y'all over if you want. So, thank y'all for presenting y'all questions for us.
Yeah, if y'all could just wait, y'all have a meeting to get to, don't y'all? Okay, if y'all, where's y'all's meeting at?
right across the
Okay,
hall.
great. If y'all go across the hall, I might grab one of y'all
Okay.
at one point during
Yeah,
the
no
because I do have a couple of questions, but thank y'all very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, I appreciate it.
Your presentation. Yeah, we gotta get out of here. Yes, could you?
Getting out.
Thank
Thanks, guys.
you. Yeah, we gotta get out of here.